What do people think about this war?
Americans are not convinced. They're not behind it. Whether you take our polling at Ipsos or just polling in general, you only have a plurality of Americans that are in favor of it, or more specifically, believe that the president is handling the job well. Our own poll gives him a 29% score on approval when it comes to Iran. It has not been well sold. Americans are confused by that. And generally speaking, we've talked about this before, Joe. Generally speaking, Americans are tired of the forever wars. They don't want a muscular foreign policy or foreign intervention. And really, they're worried about domestic pocketbook issues right now.
Okay. There's been a lot said about confused rhetoric, about inconsistent messaging here, Cliff. And our producers have done a great job collecting comments from the president from the beginning of this conflict 2 weeks ago to just yesterday. Listen to the arc of communication from the commander-in-chief.
Today, the United States military continues to carry out large-scale combat operations in Iran to eliminate the grave threats posed to America by this terrible terrorist regime. We have the strongest and most powerful, by far, military in the world, and we will easily prevail. It was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack if we didn't do it.
I said unconditional. It's where they cry uncle or when they can't fight any longer. We've won. You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over. The situation with Iran is moving along very rapidly. It's doing very well. Our military is unsurpassed. There's never been anything like it.
What do you make of this, Cliff? We've won. We've already won. We won in the first hour. Is the president acknowledging the numbers that you're seeing?
No, I think he's actually butting up against them. And indeed, he's creating a salad of possibilities that just confuses the issue, that reinforces the fact that the administration's not being clear on what it's doing. And it reflects itself in the polling. On the one hand, they haven't shorn up support, right? The numbers haven't changed that much, actually, over the last 2 weeks. And there's a big swath of Americans, depending on the poll, between 25% and 35% of Americans that really don't know why we're there or what is going on. So again, a public opinion is not in favor of it, those that have an opinion, and many still don't have an opinion because the administration hasn't made a clear argument as to why.
Really interesting. You find a plurality prefers staying out of other countries' affairs when you start talking about the idea of never wars, of regime change, or what nation building we used to call. Cliff, 48% stay out, 24% don't know, 28% think we should be doing this. Americans are divided as well on the impact of the president's willingness to use force. And this jumped off the page to me, Cliff. I don't know what you thought about this. The president and all of his surrogates, and we heard this morning at the Pentagon, peace through strength. That's something that seemed to resonate well with voters, but you find 48% versus 48% on whether this strengthens or weakens our hand.
Yeah, well, that messaging resonates with the strong MAGA base, those individuals that have not peeled off from the president and from the administration. But overall, it doesn't resonate across the board. It doesn't resonate with more moderate Republicans, with libertarians, with independents, and obviously with Democrats. So while specifically in a localized way, it does have resonance. Overall, as I said before, Joe, Americans are really just tired of foreign adventures. They're worried about what's going on here in America. They don't see necessarily the connection between the two. And indeed, for many who voted for him, one of his primary promises or principal promises of the campaign was not to get involved in foreign wars. Right. And for them, there's a misalignment today on that specific issue.
Fat number, 78%. Inflation is a very big concern for me personally. If this stays at $100 a barrel, Cliff, gasoline approaching $4 a gallon, assuming we see that, and Mike McGlone's going to set me straight on this in a moment, what happens to that 78% number?
Well, once again, Americans are not interested in foreign wars. They're interested in their pocketbook and making ends meet in affordability, affordability, affordability. That's the primary overarching worry of Americans today. Gasoline, if you look at the data itself, the perception data, the perception of prices, high prices, gasoline has come down while other expenditures haven't. Any sort of spike in gasoline will have a negative impact in a general sense, and more specifically, a negative impact on Trump's approval ratings. Ultimately, it's not a good thing, maybe net neutral in the longer term, that is, thinking about the midterms in a few months from now. But in the shortest of terms, any sort of impact on gasoline will have a negative impact on the impressions and perceptions of Americans.